All right, dun 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 dun. Drum roll, please. We are going to see a prompt when we actually type a Flask command. We're going to type Flask make view, and we're going to give it two segments. The first segment is going to represent a structure in our application. And I'm going to kind of go through a cooking example as we walk through these tutorials, this documentation. And so I'll use recipes as my data structure here. And then it's also going to include a RESTful action. Now you can use any RESTful action. Typically just reach for index, which means show all records of that data structure. So we're going to type in Flask-Command make view recipes.index, and then we're going to wire it up with a route and a controller. We've done this before and you didn't see a prompt, but when you have a RESTful action and then immediately before that RESTful action a resource, and that resource is not a registered model. Okay, what does that mean, registered model? That means that Flask-Commands is going to, behind the scenes, go look in your model's init file and see if that thing that you typed in actually exists in your init file. If it does not, then what Flask-Commands does is, we'll come down here, it's like, hey, there's probably two scenarios. Either this person really wants a generated route as what they typed in, which is recipes/index, or they're actually using RESTful notation and they just want recipes. And I really don't know which one they want because recipes is not registered. Now, if recipes is registered, it's just going to give you this. It's not going to prompt you. But if recipes is not registered, it's going to ask you, and you could potentially get this one if that's what you want. And that's why the prompt exists, because you may actually want a URL that happens to just end with a RESTful action. So that's a lot of talking just to show you what we're going to do, but it's a little bit complicated, and I prepped for this video with 4 new Flask apps. So we're going to focus at the beginning with the prompt, and we are not going to have the registered model. Then I have an example where I've already registered the model and show you that the exact same command will not prompt you. And then I'm going to just, because we constantly put in, we're really focused on the route, but I just wanted to show you what would happen if I left off the C for generate the controller too, because it will default, it needs a controller, the route needs a controller. And so it'll default to the mains controller. So I just wanted to show you that what will happen there. And then I'll say we're just going to avoid that scenario, because typically when I say generate the route, I also say generate the controller too. So I just usually put -RC here. And that's what this is. -R is generate the route. -C is saying generate the controller. And then you can just kind of stick them together and say -RC. Okay, so enough talking. Let's get to the action here. We will start with the accept. So I am going to cd into this Flask-Commands, and I'll run it. So you can see everything. All right, trust the author. And then there's the hello world, so it's working. Great, let's go back to VS Code. And then just so you can see, I haven't done anything in here. there's just the mains route, there's just the mains template, the model just has user in it. Here's the init file. There's nothing in here except for user. Okay, so we are going to, let's go back to the documentation. We are going to do Flask make view. Our data structure is going to be called recipes, or the data structure is going to be a recipe, but I use plurals when I do make view, so recipes. And then the RESTful action is in index, and then I'm going to generate the route and generate the controller. We will get a prompt when we do that. So Flask make view recipes index, and then minus, I'm going to bump this down just a little bit, minus RC. Okay, so here we go. We get a prompt. Now, in this example, I'm going to accept the prompt. You can either type Y, you could type lowercase y, or you can just press enter. Okay, so let's see what happened here. So by accepting the prompt, I'm saying I want you to build the model. I want it to be as if recipes was a model. And so you see that when I go to /recipes, I do see a URL here. If I go to /recipes/index, then I get a 404 error. And that's what we expected here when we said no register model found. Do you want /recipes, or do you want /recipes/index? If you go to what was created in VS Code, then you're going to have a whole bunch of recipes stuff. We said we're thinking of it as a model. It generated the model for us. It registered the model for us. We have recipes, and under the routes, we have a new route folder called recipes, and we have a route recipes with index. We're treating recipes recipe like it's its own data structure, and that's what we created. So you have a migration. You can go fill out recipe and add more columns to it and migrate it and see it in your database. You can go to controller, and you're seeing, okay, the recipe controller, which is what the route reference is, the recipe controller, the index of that method. So there's the index. It's referencing the render template, which is saying go to the recipes folder and look for index.html. So template, recipes, index.html. Okay, so that was accepting. Let's close this. We will close all these. Terminate. All right, I am going to cd back out of this and now into the example without a registered, and I have the decline. So we will look at the decline one. Okay, so just we'll close this and come back to our terminal. Just so you know, I'm not pulling the wool over your eyes here. Let's run this. So trust the author, it's me. Okay, here works, hello world. Now let's go to our recipes, 404. We are going to decline this, which means we want recipes/index to actually be the URL. So let's go look at VS Code. Just so you know, the model nothing in here except for user. I have a clean, here's mains, the routes, just the slash with the main controller, and template, no recipes. All right, so now we're gonna go and we're gonna do the exact same thing. Flask make view recipes.index minus RC. So minus RC, just for those of you all who may not have seen the prior video, that says generate the route and then generate the controller based on this right here. So, and you can just put them all together. All right, so we'll do this. Gonna get prompted, and this time I'm gonna say no. So you can do N, or you can do capital N or lowercase n. You cannot just press enter, because by default, enter will select Y. That's why it's capitalized. So we're gonna say no. All right, and now we're gonna go back to here, and look at that. We no longer have the 404 error that we had before. And we're seeing that from the URL is recipes/index. So in the event that you actually want a RESTful action in there, you have in the URL, you have that way of doing it. If you go to recipes, you do not see a page. It's a 404 error. Let's go back to VS Code, see what I got created for you. So let's go to models here. Users is created, but we already had users. There's nothing in the init, nothing about a recipe being created for you. Controllers, we do have a recipe controller because we generated that, and it is rendering recipes/index.html. So that's all the same. There's recipes index.html, but when you go to the route, because there was going to two options for the route, it now put in that you wanted index in there. And so that's why recipes/index actually provides a page, whereas recipes itself does not. Okay, so yeah, that was the yes, no to the prompt. Let me just show you what happens if this recipe itself was already a registered model. Okay, so let's cd out of here. Well, let's close all these first. Without Flask-Commands, generating 4 fresh Flask applications would have taken forever. But with Flask-Commands, it took a couple seconds. So a great teaching tool. All right, so cd out of here. We'll go into example with the registered model. And we will run this one. All right. So now, good, it brought VS Code up. Let's go back to VS Code. You saw the web application is actually running. We saw the hello world. But notice recipes is in the index, which means it's registered. There it is. And I have a very quick way, and you actually saw a quick way of generating this file on disk by just saying yes to the prompt. It generates this file on disk. But there's also, if you just want this file on disk and you don't want any routes with recipes, so we just have the main routes. We have the main template. The way that I did this off screen was I used a different Flask command, which was Flask make model recipe. We'll learn more about that in future videos, but right now I'm focused on Flask make view. So we're going to do recipes.index, create the route, create the controller. To me, as I've been using this package, the RC it starts to become natural, and I just do -RC all the time. And I actually typically throw in an M, so I don't have the prompt, basically, when I'm generating a model. Let's just show you that I'm not pulling the wool over your eyes here. There is no recipes 404, but we want that. We want the models already there. That's the route that we would intend if we did the Flask command that we have written. We would not want this in this example, because recipes is a model, and we're really thinking of showing all the recipes on a page. Okay, so without further ado here, we saw that there's no recipes in here. So let's pull this up. We will run this. Now, the difference between this and running this command in the other two was that I have the registered model. And so because I have the registered model, Flask-Commands is going to be smart. It's not going to waste your time. And it's going to say, this person already has the registered model. They want to say yes to the prompt. So it's just going to select yes for you and move on and not even show you the prompt. I say that, let's see that happens. Yep, no prompt. And it generated a route for you /recipes. So here's the route. Here's the new route folder, recipes. Here's the route, and it's just /recipes. And it's using the controller, RecipeController, generated that controller. And so let's go to the controller, RecipeController, which is recipes/index.html. There's template under recipes, index.html. All right, so here, look at that. We've got the page on, and so we're seeing exactly what we expected. If we go to /index, we're going to get a 404, which is what we would hope for. All right, now, so that in essence is what this section in the docs is all about, understanding the missing model prompt. There's one little note that I wanted to talk about, because I constantly am putting this -RC at the end in this tutorial, in this video. And I wanted to explain what would happen if you left off the C. So that's the leaving off the C says, don't generate a controller, but do generate a route for me. And if you look at any of the routes, so let's just go to a route here. The route needs a controller. And so when you say don't generate the route, or don't generate the controller for me, but do generate the route for me, because it needs a route, it needs a controller. Say that again. So the route needs a controller. It returns usually a method from the controller. So when you say generate the route for me, but you don't tell it to generate the controller, it's going to use the one and only controller it has as a default, which is MainController. So I just wanted to show you that, and then we will always put -RC in the rest of these, on this particular page's docs, we'll use -RC. But I just wanted to show you it doesn't break necessarily when you leave off the C. So that's what this example is about. So we'll CD out of here, and it is the example about mains. So we'll CD into the mains example. Let me close these windows. Close. Okay. So let's close this, and come back to my terminal. Okay, we'll run this one. So this is a fresh, oops, it's got something weird in it. Let's build it again. So it's okay, I've been told to have mistakes, so just bear with me. We might actually learn something together. So I'm going to cd really quickly out of here. I'm going to remove this folder. This is why Flask-Commands makes everything so much easier. Because if I had to build this, Flask, new, example, I'm just going to call it example 1, because I had a little weird thing going on. I saw it may have just been naming the file over and over again. Okay. So I'm gonna cd into example 1. Okay. And we will run it. All right. Back up to where I wanted, and I don't see any weird stuff like I did before. And here we go. All right. So the route, so just so you could see the model, there's no like recipe in there. It's just user. This is you saw me generate it, a brand new Flask command, Flask application. So the route's just the mains, the template's just mains, the controller's just main controller. All right, so now let's suppose that in this example I do Flask make view recipes.index, and instead of doing the -rc, I just think of, oh, I'm making this route, and so wire the route up, and I forget the C. So I just want to show you what this is going to do, and then we're always going to do the C. Moving on in this, at least in this, on this page of the docs. It's still going to prompt you because recipes, so you have a RESTful action, and then you have something before that, and it's wanting to know this is not a registered model. So there's no registered model for recipes. Do you really want recipes, or do you really want recipes/index, or do you actually want to treat recipes as a model and make just /recipes? Let's just hit enter, and it will generate the route. It also created a new model for you, so because you told it basically that I want to treat recipes as a model. But the interesting thing is I did not give it a controller. And notice in the controllers, I do not have a recipes controller. I did not tell it to generate a recipes controller. So I just have the mains controller. So let's see how that route under recipes got created. So I should be able to go to recipes, recipes/recipes, and it's going to return MainController.index. Well, MainController.index does exist, MainController.index, and it's returning mains/index.html, which is, if I go here under templates, mains.index.html is hello world. So that means when I go here and let's see, it's so confused. Oh, do we have this running? Yes, we do. It's confused. That's why we have second browsers. Poor Chrome. Okay, 127. We're gonna go to recipes. We see hello world. Bump this up for you. So we see hello world both here, and if I do /recipes, I see it here too. And that is because, just kind of strange, it's because we didn't tell it what controller to use, but it needed a controller when you told it to generate the route, and so it used the default controller. In this case, the only controller it had, which was MainController, and MainController already has an index which is rendering hello world. So just a little odd thing I wanted to show. Probably could have made that its own video, but to avoid confusion, we'll just use, hey, make the route and make the controller, and then it'll go and make a recipes controller instead of using MainController. All right, so that was the understanding that missing model prompt, and we'll see you in the next video.